Hey everybody, happy Thursday. This is going to be a video on the Hall of Fame inductions and a look ahead to who made the ballot for the first time next year, and maybe some predictions on who I definitely think will get in as a first timer next year. Anyway, this year, Chipper Jones, Jim Thome both made it, which are first time guys. So Jones and Thome have now 54 players have now been elected into the Hall of Fame. First year of eligibility by members of the Baseball Writers Association. So they join the other 54 of the many multitudes of people in the Baseball Hall of Fame for first year selection. If you look at next year's ballot, there will probably be more names added to that 54. And then, of course, Vlad Guerrero made the Hall of Fame. Very well deserved. Slugger, the guy hit balls that bounced off of the dirt. As Thome, for Phillies, would rate balls that were almost on the he would hit those ones that were almost at the ground and uppercut them up and hit home runs like that. Chipper was just an all-around great hitter, fantastic defender. Out of the guys that made the Hall of Fame, Chipper Jones is the best all-around player. Because he could hit, he could feel with the best of them. And back in the day, he could run, at least was an average runner. Obviously, many people in my generation didn't get to see him until later in his career, but being how much I love the sport and love sports, I have gone back and watched fun highlight videos of a lot of the greats in our sports, like baseball, basketball, football, etc. Vlad Guerrero is a great highlight video to go back and watch, by the way. There's some things you'll be like, how the hell did he do that multiple times while watching his? But Jones and Thome received 97.2 and 89.8% of the vote, respectively, in their first year. Whereas Guerrero received 92.9 of the vote in his second year on the ballot. He only fell 17 votes short of the 75% last year. So he got very close to being a first time, which I thought he should have been, but who cares, because now he got in his second year. All that matters is that you get to Cooperstown. Not exactly when you get there if you think he had a Hall of Fame career. Hoffman, who fell 5 votes short of the mark last year, released 79.9, so he got the least amount of anybody that was in. But Trevor Hoffman is a 6 Hall of Fame pitcher who was primarily a reliever. The others were Hoyt Wilhelm in 85, Rollie Fingers, who obviously is gratefully deserving, same with Dennis Eckersley in 92 and 04, Bruce Sutter, very deserving, and Goose Gossage, very deserving. So all the relievers that get in were like madhouse, awesome, best relievers of their time. Because typically in the Hall of Fame, you get your position players and your starting pitchers, and then it mixes in the relievers and closers. Because back in now, that'll probably change, but back in the days in earlier baseball, starters were a more prominent, well-known thing. Like the fact that Hoyt Wilhelm got in 85 means he must have been on a team or been on teams that actually used relievers a decent amount, because back then, starters were used a lot more. Like Carlton for the Phillies pitched so many more innings. Or now, if you went back and looked at some stats, you'd be like, wow, he pitched that many innings. No, it was common back then. We didn't use relievers as much. We just kept running out the starters. But nowadays, my prediction is that 6 relievers that are in will go up in threshold over the next 20, 30 years, because the game's now shifting. This is what everything does. Every game, every sport, everything in the world evolves. The game is now shifting to being about using relievers a lot more nowadays. Your team stacked their bullpen, like the Phillies had to do this offseason, etc., etc. So I think that number will go up. The ceremony is on July 29th in Cooperstown. They usually air it on MLB Network or whatever. This year I will definitely be watching, because Thome's getting inducted. And then Jones is an 8-time All-Star who won the 1999 NL MVP and the 2008 NL batting title. He batted .303 with 2,726 hits and 468 home runs in 19 seasons with the Braves. And then the Philly great, who also played many years with the Indians, Homie was a 5-time All-Star who had 612 home runs, 8 on the career list, 8th on the career list of home runs, rather, and 13 of which were spent in the Cleveland Indians of his 22 seasons. And then he spent a lot of time with the Phillies. He spent some time with the White Sox. Of course, he came back here for that 1 year. Hoffman recorded 601 saves in his 18-year career, the second most in MLB history, which is behind Mariano Rivera, the freak Mariano Rivera, who And then, speaking of being behind Mariano Rivera, sorry, I had to look something up on my phone. Rivera is probably a lock, a mortal lock, for next year's Hall of Fame, and he will add to then those relievers, which I was just explaining how that's going to change a couple minutes ago. But Hoffman spent the bulk of his career at the Padres, which then he joined the great team with Dave Winfield and Tony Gwynn, Mr. Padre. And then Edgar Martinez, the great all-time DH, who many people think should make it. A lot of people think he will make it next year because his votes went up to 70.4 this year. It was even just 25.2 in 2014, 27 and 15 and 43.3, 16 and 58.8 or 0.6 last year. He's pretending to become the second player with primary designated hitter to be elected in the Hall of Fame. So he is going to try to keep on making it. He will probably make it eventually. He only fell 5% short this year, so that's likely going to eventually get him over the threshold. The other DH that'll probably make the Hall of Fame in short time is David Ortiz once he's eligible. If he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame, that's a damn disgrace. Just because he played DH. It's kind of the same premise for Edgar Martinez. He raked, he thrashed, he killed the ball too. It's kind of a disgrace. He's not in at this point either, and they're just kicking him for being a DH. But we'll see what happens. I think he'll get in next year. David Ortiz isn't available or eligible until 2022. Rivera is next year. And then Bonds and Clemens got closer this year. They were in the 50 percentiles in votes. But if we look at next year, we already said that, well, one, some people think that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens have a chance next year because of how close they got. Mike Mussina, another guy, has a chance to get in next year because he kept creeping closer this year. Curt Schilling, there was a whole article about how he's back on track to get the Hall of Fame because his votes went up a lot where he's been down very low because of the stupid things he's done over the years in public to make him not look good in terms of a PR thing. And a lot of people don't like giving rewards to idiots that aren't responsible and don't do the right thing all the time. But Schilling's now reverting back. He got 51.2. Scott Rowland only got 10.2, so he's got a long way to go. But, of course, there's different ways to get into the Hall of Fame. You can get in through the Red Association or through the thing that everyone got in before, the other way of getting in. And it's going to be a great Hall of Fame next year ballot. Johan Santana was left off of a ballot, apparently, the two-time Cy Young winner. Of course, his season was derailed, his career was derailed by injuries, but many still think he has a chance to get in, so he will probably find his name on the ballot at some point, but we'll see what happens. We'll get in. Mariano Rivera will obviously get in. He remains the all-time leader in games finished, which is 952, and saves, which is 652. And ERA, which is plus 205. His story postseason career saw him finish with a .70 ERA in 141 innings. Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay is considered by many to be a no-doubter. He sadly will have to be inducted posthumously now, but he won just 202 games, but he was a two-time Cy Young winner and finished second on two other occasions, and also pitched his heart out in the playoffs, the limited time in the playoffs he had. Todd Helton is a maybe based on his WAR and some of his numbers, but I don't think he'll be a first-time guy to get in, but he's a maybe. Deserving of discussion, but long shots would be like Miguel Tejada. He eventually had a bad PED test, but he did rake when he was early in his career. He killed the ball. He did great. Lance Berkman could be another one. He was a heck of a hitter, but there's other statistics that would probably make him fall short of being in the Hall of Fame. Oswalt's the same way. He was a very good pitcher, pitched for our Phillies for a few years, but there's other statistics within his statistics that would kind of make him fall out of the Hall of Fame. He has some great stats, and he has some other things that you would like to see higher. Easy one and done that are famous names are all these guys that had very good careers, but just not good enough for the Hall of Fame. And if we go off of CBS's things, the names I pulled earlier, which I added a couple into, were Michael Young, Polanco, Euclid, Jason Bay, Freddie Garcia, and Derek Lowe. So a lot of those guys had good careers. Some went up and down, but they're definitely not good enough to be in the Hall of Fame, most likely for all of them. For their team's Hall of Fames or Wall of Fames, of course, but the Hall of Fame, the big guy, probably not. But my prediction for next year of guys that definitely going to get in are going to be Rivera and Roy Halladay, which unfortunately now be posthumously. And I think a prediction for the future, Todd Helton will eventually get in. I just don't think it will be next year. This has been a look into the Hall of Fame selections by the MLB. This has been Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Boric. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your Thursday. Peace out.